um, posted the homework, and most of you have worked on the homework already, which is great. Really, really wonderful to know. Um, so I actually realized that if I take the time during the actual stream to go over the homework, I figured that it was going to take too much time and we won't be able to really make progress. So what I decided to do was to make some sort of solutions, homework solutions. So let me just show it to you right now. Let me show you what I'm talking about. Okay. Okay, so this is essentially the same file, okay, for the homework, but in this file you have access to my code, okay, my version of the code to answer the questions that were asked. For example, where I ask you to load the packages, the code is here. Where I ask you to load the data or import the data, the code is here. And these are all the questions. So 3A is how many rows are there in each of the 5 data sets. This is the code, and these are the answers to, or these are the results that the code will produce, basically. Okay, B, how many columns are there in each data set? Okay, these are the lines of code and then the corresponding results and the number of data points, everything is here. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Now this is where I asked the questions about filter, using the filter function, and everything should, I actually checked it and everything should be good. So you already have access to it because I sent you a link to the homework, and the same link is going to take you to the solutions as well. So as I upload this video on YouTube, I am going to make sure to put the link in the description of the video. But let me go ahead and actually put it on in the chat right now so that you guys will be able to have access to it as well. So let me do it. Yeah, actually, I used to have several links, a link for the data, another link for my code, the scripts that I write, another link for the homework and all that. But I have decided that I would put everything in the same folder and have one link that gives you access to everything. So that's what I'm going to do right now. Link. Okay, so this is actually going to give you access to everything that we've done so far, and hopefully this will be very useful to you. Okay, guys, so let's continue on our journey. And also, I'm actually thinking, still on the topic of homework, I'm actually hoping to, maybe make some separate videos for homework specifically. These might be live streams, so that I can get questions from you, and maybe I'm going to record the videos. But I like the live stream format because I can answer your questions. So I'm not really sure how to go about it. But maybe, like we're meeting twice right now, so I'm thinking about having a special day for the homework, So we meet for maybe 30 minutes or so, maybe less, and then we go over everything that is in the homework for that day, and then that's it. Alright guys, so let's continue. So as you can see, I am not yet in my project, so I am going to get on my project right now. And last time we learned how to open a project. Okay, so I locate my project folder called Flights Analysis. And remember, this is the script, the R file is the script. But I don't want to open the file only, I actually want to open the entire project, right? So over here is the project icon, right? The cube. And that's what I'm supposed to double click on. Okay. And when I do, RStudio opens up. Not only RStudio opens up, but it opens up within my project. And you can see it on the top right corner. You can see that I am inside the flights analysis folder, or project, I should say. Okay, let me decrease this a little bit, and let me increase the font size, and let's get started. Okay guys, remember, anytime you close RStudio and you open it back up, you need to load your packages first. That's the first thing you need to do always, okay? So I am selecting all the library calls, you know, and control enter because I'm on a Windows. If you're on a Mac, you press command enter. Now all my 4 packages are loaded. And now I am going to, you know, import the data. See, my environment is empty. When we closed our project last time, we specified that we did not want to save the workspace. So anytime we get back to the project, we start from a clean slate, basically. So I am going to load my 5 data sets at the same time. Oh, shoot. I actually forgot to provide the link to my live code. Okay, so let's continue. Over here, once again, we have, we just imported our data, okay? And after importing the data, we looked at, so let me take a quick look at flights again. We looked at the structure of a data set that shows up in a console, okay? We said that these are the dimensions, number of rows, number of columns. These are the names of the columns. These are what we call the classes of data, okay? Double means it's numeric data. DTTM means that it's a date time type of data. And CHR is a, you know, character data, which is the same as text data. There are many other forms of data, which we will learn a lot more forms of data, but these are very popular, you know, especially text and numbers. You know, these are the 2 most frequent types of data that you'll see. Okay, so after importing the data, what we did was we, you know, did basic data exploration, number of rows, number of columns, number of dimensions together, you know. Take a glimpse, you know, it gives you a list of all the columns in your data set, as well as the class, as well as the first few observations, okay? You see, when you print your data set in the console like that, there are more columns that I cannot display. So these columns are mentioned here, airtime and distance, right here. So it says, and 2 more variables, okay? But when you use Glimpse, you can see everything in the console. But before I execute Glimpse, these are the number of rows that are still not showing. So you have the first 10, and then you have all these more rows. Now, if everything had to show up in the console, that would be too much. So that's a really nice way of looking at your data. Now, as far as basic data exploration is concerned, there's another function that I was supposed to teach you, which I actually completely forgot to teach you. So this is what I'm going to do now. And please, this line of code, I would like for you to write it inside the basic data exploration section here, okay? So maybe after summary. Once again, we can only see the first 10 rows and, you know, as many columns as can fit on your screen. But for some reason, you may actually want to see or, you know, view the entire data set, okay? When the file was on your computer, you could open it up with Microsoft Excel. But there is actually a way to open the entire data as a spreadsheet from within RStudio, you know, without going out of our studio and getting to something like Excel or something like that. And this is simply the view function. But very careful, guys, the view function is with a capital V. Everything else is lowercase, but V is capital. Let me show you. Let's view the, you know, airlines data set, okay? And once again, guys, V here is capital V. If you don't write it in capital V, it's not going to work. So when you click on it, okay, it actually, okay, so I think the live code is playing the same tricks on me again. All right, so I think I can do it. All right, so when you do it, it opens a new tab. See, this is my script here where I was writing my code. And now this actually just showed up and it showed me the entire data set. So the airlines data set is actually not too big. Maybe, I mean, let's change it. Let's look at something actually bigger. All right, so I'm going back to my code and I'm replacing airlines with, well, flights is the biggest. Okay, let's do flights. Let's view flights. Okay. All right, so when I do it here, okay, this is the entire data set, guys. All right, so these are all the 14 columns. If there were more, I would be able to scroll to the right, actually. And now I can actually view the entire data set. Okay, the entire data. If so, for some reason you want to do that, this is how you can do it from within RStudio. Okay. And remember, guys, V is with a capital V. All right, so once you're done viewing, you may want to leave these tabs open if you want to. I'm just going to close them, okay? I don't need to view it anymore. But if you want to leave them open, it's fine. You just click back on your script and then you'll get back to it. All right, I just made it slightly bigger again. Okay, the last thing that we learned was, we got a taste of data manipulation. And the first step in data manipulation that we talked about was how to filter data. And actually, filter data set is the filter function is really for that. It allows you to discard the data that you don't want and focus on the data that you are looking for. Okay, and all this is based, of course, on specific conditions. Okay, these conditions need to be satisfied. They need to be met for it to work. So here, if we want all the flights to Dallas, we want all the flights to Dallas. Well, in the flights data set, there is a column that pertains to destination, because what we're looking for is flights to Dallas, right? So our condition here has to be on the destination column, all right? And the Dallas Fort Worth airport code is DFW. So when you run this, okay, it gives you exactly all the flights to Dallas only, and it filtered the entire data set by the destination column. Number two, flights that lasted more than 1 hour and 30 minutes. There's a column that pertains to it, and that's airtime. Okay, so this is greater than 90. Okay, airtime greater than 90, and the data set is flights, of course. Okay, filter flights airtime less than 45. Okay, and that's for flights that were really short, 45 minutes flights. Well, I didn't run the second one, but let me run this. And these are all the flights. This is the information on all the flights that lasted less than 45 minutes. Okay. All right. So we're going to take this a little further today. We're going to take the filter function. We're going to learn more things about it. Okay, which are kind of important to know. Okay. Let's continue with it. And this time around, we are going to look at. This is going to be in the planes data set. Okay, if you look at your planes data set, well, the reason why I wrote planes in the console is because I don't want it to be in my script. I just wanted to look at planes, So I typed the name in the console very quickly and I pressed enter. Well, the reason why I'm seeing it is because I imported the data earlier. If I hadn't imported it, then that wouldn't work. Okay. In the planes data set, we have a column called seats. And seats is, of course, the number of seats in the airplane. So this is if you want a measurement of the size of the data set. Okay, the size of the data set. Now, let's see if in this data set called planes, let's verify if we have planes that have less than 10 seats. That would be really interesting. Okay, it may not be really small planes, right? Let's see if we have some planes that have less than I said 10 seats, right? Okay, so planes with less than 10 seats. Okay, all right, so we always start with the filter function. Okay, filter function, and the first argument, the first component inside the function is what data set are you trying to filter? Okay, well, the flights data set doesn't work here because the flights data set does not have information on planes and their sizes or the number of seats, right? So the data set that we need to use here is the planes data set, because this is the data set that has the information on the planes, the year they were built, and the manufacturers, and the number of seats, and so on and so forth. So planes. And if you did the homework, then you were able to practice this. All right, number two. Okay, what column pertains to the size of an airplane? Well, that column is seats, right? So I have to write it exactly like it is in the data set, seats. And, let me change this a little bit. So less than or equal to 10 seats. All right, in order to write this, less than or equal to, less than, as you can see, and then you can add the equal sign. I actually went back to my special font. I don't know if you remember, I changed it last time. Let me change it. So I like it. This is the actual less than or equal to symbol, right? because of the special font Fire Code. You don't have it on your computer right now, but I can actually show you how to install it. I think it's fun to use a font like that. Fire Code. Okay, this is what I used last time. Let me just apply it. It's rebooting it. Okay, so you can see less than and then the equal symbol now. All right. So, and we said 10. So let me just type 10. All right, let's take a quick look. Yes, we have 35 planes that have less than or equal to 10 seats. And how many seats? We have 2, we have 8, we have 6, we have 7. We actually have 10, we have 4. Okay, and of course we have all these other pieces of information. The year they were built, over here, their manufacturer, the type of airplane, number of engines, and things like that, and their speed, and so on and so forth. Okay. All right, guys. So let's take the filter function one step further now. Our friend, I just don't want to say our friend. I want to be able to remember his name. Is Leonard. Leonard. Okay. Last time we asked whether it was possible to add more than one condition in the filter function, and the answer is yes. Sometimes you want very specific data that has many conditions, right? And if you do, then you can actually add all these conditions inside the filter function. Okay, so that's really important to know. All right, so let's try our first filter call with several conditions. Let's stay in the planes data set for this one. Now, let's say that this time around we want, okay, it's more specific, planes with more than 100 seats, okay, built by, yeah, I'm looking for the manufacturer names. Okay, so let's say built by Piper, maybe. This looks like an old. Okay, so let's say built by Augusta Spa. Okay, let's say built by Piper. Okay, built by Piper. I know we have Boeing here and stuff like that. We have Airbus, I believe. We can actually look at other, filtering processes with that. Okay, so let's do this for now. Okay, how are we going to go about it? Actually, we have two conditions here. We need the seats to be higher than 100, and we also need the manufacturer to be Piper. Okay, so let's write the code for it. Filter, oops. Okay, planes, that's the data set that we're trying to filter. Now, what's the first condition? And of course, the order of the conditions does not really matter. But let's just, write the conditions in the order they appear in that comment there. So we want the seats to be greater than 100. So that's the first condition. The second condition, for that, I'm going to add a comma, okay? And we want the manufacturer. So that the column that pertains to the second condition is the manufacturer column. Okay, so manufacturer, and we want it to be exactly Piper. So this is equals like this. Okay, equals. So two equal symbols. And because it is text, we have to wrap it around quotes or quotation marks and then Piper. Now, Piper needs to be written exactly like it is written here. If it is not written exactly like that, it's going to tell you that, hey, I didn't find anything. Okay, all right, so this is actually a very good example, because if you manage to write it exactly like I did, you will obtain a table of 9 columns by 0 row. Okay, in other words, there's no data for it. And what this tells you is simply that there are no planes manufactured by Piper with more than 100 seats. Okay, this is what this answer here, or this result that you see here in the console, is essentially telling you. No such planes exist, at least in the data set. Okay, let's actually take the opportunity to only look at the kind of planes that Piper builds. So I am going to focus on all planes that were manufactured by Piper now, okay, to see the kind of number of seats that they have. Okay, so we have only 5 planes in the entire data set. So right now I went back to this, okay, filter with one condition, manufacturer Piper, and we have only 5 models. So look at that. They only built planes with 8 seats, 7 seats, 4 seats. Okay, and that's basically it. All right, so there's no such plane as a Piper plane with more than 100 seats. Okay, all right. So I'm really glad that we were able to find an example like that, because I don't want you to be surprised to see this. Now, if you see this result, it might mean 2 things: that there's no such thing in the data, or maybe you didn't write your answer correct. You didn't specify your conditions correctly. Okay, this might actually be the case. So you really need to check your code again when you see this. Okay, let's try with a different manufacturer. I know we have Boeing. Okay, and definitely these guys, they make big airplanes. Guys, this time we're going to go with 3 conditions. Planes built after 2000 by Boeing. I hope this is how it is written in the data set, with more than 150 seats. Okay, now we have 3 conditions, people. The plane needs to be built by Boeing after 2000 and with more than 150 seats. Okay. So let's work on it. Of course, we start with the filter function like this. Okay, and the first element there is the name of the data set. Of course, we are looking at planes right now. Okay, and again, the order of the conditions does not really matter. Let's start with the year. You know, like in the order they appear. So after 2000. Okay. You know, let's do less greater than or equal. So if it was built in 2000, then it counts too. So after the year 2000, that's the column year here. Okay, where the year the year in which the plane was manufactured. Number 2, it was built by Boeing. So the manufacturer is Boeing, like this. And again, I'm really hoping that this is how it is spelled in the data set, but if it is not, we will check it in a second. Okay, last but not the least, number of seats should be, let's say, greater than 150. So that's strictly greater than. We can just keep it like that. All right, so we have a bunch of examples like that. You know, and yes, the spelling of Boeing is like you can see on my screen. All right, so I told you the truth, people. Okay. All right. So we have about 261 planes like that. Okay. And this is filtering, guys. Filtering is very, very useful. Very useful, guys. Okay. Now let's look at, let's do some filtering in other data sets. In our main data set, actually, flights, which has the most data points. Okay, I am going to write it in the console just to see once again what it looks like. Okay, guys, let's build a very, very complicated filtering process. Okay, and try to you know, write the code for it. Okay. All flights, okay, between, let's say you want to focus on summer flights only. Okay, so let me say all summer flights. Okay, and what would summer flights be? So the flights has to be between, I don't know, June and August, I guess. Okay, so in parentheses to bring more context to it, between June and August. Okay, all summer flights between June and August. Okay, that departed from JFK in the afternoon. Okay, so afternoon would mean then that the flight departed between oh, okay, no, this is actually going to take us to some stuff that I don't really want yeah. Let's forget about the afternoon. At some point, I'm going to teach you how to manipulate dates. Okay, and we don't really know how to manipulate dates right now. So let's leave it to when we look at the next function. Actually, the next function is going to be arrange, and after that, we'll look at mutate. When we look at mutate, I will teach you how to do that. So let's leave the afternoon part that departed from JFK, and that lasted more than 3 hours. Okay, this is not too bad actually. This is something that I'm pretty sure that you guys can do fairly simply. Let's look at how to handle it with code. So same, we start with the filter function. Now this is a question that has to do with flights, so we definitely need the flights data set for that. Okay, so that's the first argument here, flights, and let's look at all our conditions here. So we are focusing on summer flights. And we said that a summer flight is a flight that takes place between June and August. Okay, June we know is the 5th month of the year. Sorry, 6th month of the year, and August is the 8th month. Okay, so this is actually how to go about it. So we want the month to be greater than or equal to 6. Sorry, for June. But then the second condition is that we also want month to be less than or equal to 9. Okay, so these two conditions, when you put them together, what you're really saying is that you want a month that is between 7 and 9. That's really what you're saying here. Okay, I really hope you understand. And if you do not, please ask questions in the chat. Okay, so that takes care of the first part of our conditions. Number 2, it needs to have departed from JFK. So departing means that we're looking at the origin of the flight, and that's this column right here. Okay, origin, and that origin needs to be JFK. All right, and lasted more than 3 hours. The column that we're interested in, we can't see it right now, but that column is airtime. Okay, and that column is in minutes. Okay, it's in minutes. So we want the airtime, okay, to be greater than or, okay, you know what, instead of more than 3 hours, let me say at least 3 hours, because if we say at least 3 hours, it means that we can use greater than or equal to. Okay, greater than or equal to 3 hours, that would be 60 times 3, okay, which is 180. All right, let's check if we have some flights like that. Oh, we actually have about 15,511 flights that satisfy these conditions. Mary is saying August is 8. Oh, August is 8. Oh yeah, I actually said it and I wrote 9. 9 is September, right? I'm sorry. Thank you very much, Mary. Yeah. So yes, it's supposed to be less than or equal 8. Thank you very much. Yeah, we have some people that are paying attention here, huh? That's great. That's wonderful. Okay. So let me run it again then. So maybe this might change. Yes. So it's not 15,000 anymore. It is 11,880. Okay. Very good stuff, and thank you one more time, sister. Okay. I know some of you are copying the code, so I'm, trying to take time so that you guys can actually copy everything too. And I'm really hoping that the live code is still working. I'm checking it now. Ooh. I want to show you a few more things when it comes to all these conditions. So we know how to write a condition that has exactly equal to. We looked at how to look at a condition with greater than or equal to. Romina, you are welcome. Less than or equal to. Okay, so we looked at all these different cases. Now, what we want to do is sometimes you may want to, write a condition that has different from. You want everything except something specific. Okay, everything except something specific. So let us, look at an example like that. Let's assume that you want to look at all flights. Okay, so we're still in the flights data set. all flights except the flights that happened in January, for example. For some reason, you don't want January in your analysis. You want February from February to December. Okay, so all flights. Oh, this is supposed to be a comment. All flights except. Oh, yeah, except the flights that happened in the month of January. So we're going to try to write code for this. Okay. Okay, so filter as always. Okay, and the data set here that we want to use is flights. All right, so still I'm going to show you the data in the console. Still, the column that we want to use is the month column. Okay, the month column right here, and we want everything except the values equal to 1. Okay, because 1 is for January. Now, in order to do that, we will use the exclamation mark and then equal, like this. Okay, exclamation mark and then equal. Well, in programming, not only in R, in all programming languages that I know of, the exclamation mark means not. That's what it means, not. So exclamation mark equal means not equal to. Okay, whereas equals means is equal to, but this means not equal to. So month not equal to 1. Okay, so this is really what you want to do. So let me go ahead and execute this. Okay, and you can see already that the month starts with a 10. And if you want to check everything, you will see that all the months are there except the month of January. Actually, let's do it together. Remember that I just showed you how to view an entire data set using the view function, view with a capital V. So what we can do is we can wrap, okay, we can wrap this entire code inside the view function, okay, and this is going to happen. So let me just do it right now for you to see. Capital VIEW, I open the parenthesis, then I copy and paste my filter code. Okay, I copy and paste my filter code like that. So what's going to happen is that the filter code inside is going to filter the data, and whatever data I obtain after filtering is now going to be viewed. Okay, so let me run it. Okay, when I run it, you can see that it actually works. And don't worry about what you're seeing here. This is just exception occur while executing callback. Okay, I think this is actually because of my live code. This is the reason why I'm getting this, but you should not get what you see here. Okay, guys, so you see month. Let me just scroll down. I mean, we have about 300,000 rows here, so it's going to take some time. So you see 11. Okay, let me go to the bottom 9 and so on and so forth. And I think I skipped all the others. The 2, 3, 4. Okay, we have 12 here for December. We have 3 here for March. We have 4 for April, and then month 5, and so on and so forth, right? So it's important to know that. So you can do this. Personally, if I was actually working on the project, I think that this is a little, I'm not going to say confusing, but I think it's a little messy to look at. Right now we're looking at this code so we understand everything. But believe me, if you don't code at all and you come back to your code maybe in a month or so, you're going to be like, what was I trying to do here? So it's very important, as I said, to write as many comments as you can, but also structure your code in such a way that when you get back to your code, your comments and your code help you figure out what you were doing. So to me, the best way of doing this would be to use a variable. Okay, remember, for those of you who looked at the homework, I told you in the homework that you can store any sort of information inside variables in R. So when I filter my data set, I am going to store the resulting data inside a variable. Okay, let me call this variable flights no gen, and you cannot add a space in the variable name, so that's why I'm using underscores. So this would be a name that I just came up with, meaning that, okay, in this variable I am going to store flight information without the January flights. Okay, and I'm going to store it inside. Okay, and because I'm lazy, let me just copy and paste this. All right, so when I run it, this gives me a new variable in my environment because this is a new object that I created. So flights no gen is here, and you see it has less observations than flights because all the January flights are not in there. Okay, now after storing my filtered data inside flights no gen, I'm now going to view flights no gen like this. All right, and of course I'm getting exactly the same view of the spreadsheet that I got earlier when I did everything in one line of code. Okay, it's exactly the same. All right, so this is another application of variables. Variables are very important, and you can once again store everything that you want inside variables without any problem. All right, so we just learned about the not operator. That's how you call it, an operator, the not operator, or just exclamation marks. Okay, now there's something else that I am going to teach you about all this, and this has to do with characters, for the most part, and you'll see what I mean. Now let's assume that what we're looking for, so that's a new comment now, all flights operated by United Airways, or is it United Airlines? I'm not sure. So by UA and AA. I know that this is American Airlines. By United Airlines or United Airways, I'm not really sure. But we want all flights operated by these two. Okay. So for this condition, okay, I think I am not really sure why, but I think it stopped syncing again. The live code, this time around I decided to stay on the live code to see what would happen, and I'm trying to keep it open so that I can see if it's still working or not. Yeah, now I can see that it's still working. Okay, perfect. So all the flights operated by these two airline companies. Okay. All right. Now, if I ask you to do it, all of you would actually go about it this way. This is what you would write: filter flights. Okay. Then you would say, or you would write carrier, because this is the column that contains the information about what is being asked here. Okay. Operated by U and AA. So we're looking at the carriers. Okay. You have to constantly refresh it, but it is always syncing. Okay, great. All right. It's good to know. So I'll be sure to let everybody know from now on. Okay. All right. So we said carrier equals UA, comma, for the second one, carrier equals AA. Okay, I'm pretty sure that this is what you would do, and yeah, I just checked it on Google, guys. This is United Airlines, not Airways. Okay, now this looks correct, but let me go ahead and execute it, and you'll see what happens in the console. Oops, what's happening? Well, it is telling you that there's no such flight. There's no flight that satisfies this condition here. Which is weird because, even in this short chunk of the data set, we can see that some flights are operated by UA and other flights, at least one, is operated by AA. But why is it that the system is telling us that there's no such flight? Okay, maybe we didn't write the names of the carrier correctly. We actually did. You know, when we look at it, that's exactly how it is written. Okay. So what is the problem then? All right, so let me explain it to you. The problem is that this is what this code here is saying. The code is saying that I want you, you are telling the computer through your code that, hey computer, I want you to give me the list of all flights that were operated by UA, and okay, you can actually see these commas here as and, okay, and also operated by AA. Guys, there's no such flight. I mean, it's impossible to be on a flight that is operated by two companies at the same time. I mean, you are only one person, and the airplane in which you currently are is operated by a company, right? Not by two companies at the same time. Okay, and there's no such flight, and this is why the system is telling you that, okay, there's nothing like that here. So what we really want to do is, we don't want to use and, we want to use or instead. We want to use or and not and in this case. So how do we go about it? So we're not going to remove this line of code. We're just going to say, this is wrong. Okay, no flight can be operated by two carriers at the same time. Okay. Just to give it some context, it's impossible to have that. Okay, so we need to use the OR operator. Now, what is the OR operator? I know that, you know, people watching me are from all over the world, and I'm not really sure what kind of keyboard you use. I am currently using a QWERTY keyboard, which is the, you know, the English keyboard, and well, it is used in many English-speaking countries. I know that some English-speaking countries do not use QWERTY. Okay, yes. Let me actually show you my layout. Ooh, my cable is not too long. Okay, yeah, I think I can manage to do it. All right, let's see. I'm not really sure that you can actually see it. Let me see if it is centered. Oh yeah, with all the colors, I'm not even sure that you'll be able to see it very well. But the first buttons here, okay, I think I'm getting there now. Oops. Okay, I believe you can see it now. QWERTY. Okay, so this is my keyboard actually. Okay, and again, for what I'm going to show you right now, this might actually not be at the same position on your keyboard, but for me it is right above the enter button. Okay, right above the enter button, and the enter and I mean the symbol I'm talking about is this symbol here. It's like a, you know, a vertical line like this. Okay, and this is known as the OR operator. Okay, the OR operator. So I'm going to write it as a comment. We need to use the OR operator. Okay, and okay, shift and the button that is right above the enter button. Okay, the enter key. And actually, you know, the right thing to say here would be all flights operated by UA or AA. That's what I should really say. For those of you who remember set theory in mathematics, it's really a union. It's not an intersection that we're looking at in this question at least. Okay. All right. So this is how to go about it. Just copy and paste your code. Copy and paste your code, and just replace the comma, which means and, with the OR operator. When you do, lo and behold, it now works. So you see, you have a bunch of UAAA, UAAA, and this is about 91,000 flights that you get there. Okay, and so in 2013, out of all flights that departed from New York City, 91,394 flights were operated by these two companies only. Okay, well, that's a lot. That's a lot. Okay. All right, so there's that one. Okay, so Romina is helping you. Thank you very much, Romina. So if you cannot do it, okay, if you cannot use it, you can just copy and paste what Romina posted in the chat. Okay. Or if you couldn't find it on your keyboard for some reason. Okay. Now this is one way of doing it. Okay, and you may want to do it. But there's actually another way of doing it, which I personally prefer. Using the OR operator is fine. Again, you're going to get the same result. The other approach to me is more interesting, especially when you're trying to read your code later. So what is that approach? We're going to use a new operator, which we haven't really talked about before. Well, just like the OR operator right now. Flights, and now carrier. Okay. And the operator is called the in operator. So it's percent percent like that. So this is known as the in operator, and I am going to update my comment. We need to use the or operator, or use or twice, but I hope you will remember that. Or the in operator, which is percent in percent. And in is written in lowercase, okay? Percent in percent. All right, so what else? Because we have several carriers that we want to list, remember, that's a function that we learned the first time we installed packages, the combine or concatenate function with a C. And that's a lowercase c. C parenthesis, and then you list all the carriers that you're looking for. So UA, then comma AA. I like this approach very much because you can actually read it as, hey computer, I want you to filter the flights data set, and I want only the observations where the carrier is in one of these. Okay, basically this is how you may want to read it if you want. And when we run the code with the OR operator, we found that there are 91,394. Okay, I'm going to run this to see if it's the same. Okay, the code is blocking my stuff here. Okay, and now you see that it's the same 91,394. Okay, which is wonderful. So this simply means that these two statements are equivalent. Okay, they are equivalent, they do exactly the same thing. Now, it's really important to remember the in operator. And the in operator, honestly, can be used for characters. And remember, character means text data. Okay, carrier was a character column. But it can actually be used for anything. You know, you can use it for anything. But people mostly use it for characters. Actually, remember when we're talking about summer flights here? You know, let's actually try to rewrite this using the in operator. You know, in this case, we wanted month to be greater than or equal to 6 and less than or equal to 8. So basically, there are three numbers that satisfy this condition, and these numbers are 6, 7, and 8. So you may have wanted to, you know, use the in operator and list the 3 month values. And thank you once again, Romina, for adding the operator in the chat for everybody. Okay. All right. So now let's just copy and paste all summer flights. Okay. Let's paste it, and now we're going to use it. We're going to answer this question with the in operator, and let's add it at the end of the comment with the in operator. Okay, so the only part of the code that we're going to change is the part of the code with month here. Okay, so I'm going to do this. It's going to be month in, and I need to combine now 6, 7, 8. Okay, hey, this would work as well. So I am going to execute the first one. Okay, the first one has 11,880 values, and I'm going to execute this again, and this has 11,880. So the two codes are perfectly equivalent. Okay, so it's really important to remember what we just said here. You know, you will not, you know, you cannot really use the equal sign twice, or at least twice, on the same column, because you will never have a single row that has the two values at the same time on that column. So it's never going to work, basically. Like what we tried here, all flights operated by UA or AA, and you saying, okay, you want flights that have the carrier UA, and you want, you know, flights that also, the same flights also have a carrier as AA. You know, you will never find it, and it's going to be the same for everything that you can think of, actually. You know, everything that you can think of. Okay, so let's test our new powers on another data set. Okay, let's test our new power. What data set have we not used today? We use flights, we use planes. We haven't used weather. We used airlines a little bit. Okay, so let's do weather. Weather is actually a pretty big data set as well. So there are many interesting questions that may be asked here. Even though, okay, so we have the origin. So as I told you guys, the weather, it gives you the weather conditions in around the three airports in our flights data set, which are Newark, JFK, and LaGuardia. So it gives you hour by hour throughout 2013, throughout the entire year. It gives you an hour by hour report on the weather conditions. You know, so you have the month, day, hour, you know, temperature, humidity, wind direction, and so on and so forth. And when the time comes, guys, we're going to do some sweet analysis, okay? Because at some point we'll have to do a little bit of statistics, and I think I said it in the previous in the previous live stream that when we are done with what we're doing right now, I think I'm going to you know, do statistics with R. You know, and then we'll be manipulating data and then doing some modeling and things like that. Okay. All right. So what interesting question could we ask here? Okay. So let's do this. Okay. Okay. So you want to know the weather conditions around Newark or LaGuardia, okay, in the winter months. Okay, in the winter months. And what would winter months mean? Well, it depends on the state where you are, right? If you live in Alaska, that's pretty much the whole year, right? But let's say generally, right? The winter generally starts at the end of November, you know. So let's just say December all the way to February, you know. If we stretch it, we can include March, but let's say December to February. Okay. Okay, you want to know the weather conditions around these two airports in the winter months. Okay, and let's say you are really interested in the direction of the wind. Okay, you are interested in the direction of the wind, and of course you can look at it once you filter your data. Yeah, okay. You know, there's another interesting question that I want to ask, but I can't really right now. But let's just you know do this. Okay. Okay, so first condition, we want the weather conditions around Newark or LaGuardia. So this is what we need to specify. So filter, and now we are looking at the weather data set. Okay, so the origin, that's the name of the column that has the airport's names here. So the origin is Newark or EWR, or it is LGA. Okay, so you can use the OR operator, you can use the IN operator. Okay, so I use the in operator, but I'm going to use the or operator too. I'm going to show you all the different cases. So EWR, and the second option here is we also want LaGuardia, like this. Okay, then comma, in the winter months. So the months, no, it's month with no S. You see, in the data set there's no S, so I shouldn't put an S there. So let me just remove it. And we want the months to be, we have specific months that we want, right? So we want them to be either 1, 2, or 12. 1, 2, or 12. I already wrote 12. Okay, so this is a really neat way of, you know, doing things here. Okay, you know what? Let me just add a few other things to this. Let's make it a little longer. Weather conditions around Newark or LaGuardia in the winter months, when the temperature is below 40 degrees. Okay, guys, let me just make it slightly smaller. Oh, this is too small. Okay, I'm just going to break a line here and continue on the second line. When the temperature is below 4 degrees and the wind speed is above 15 miles per hour. Okay, so let's add these two more conditions here. So we want the temperature to be below 40 degrees. The column that we want for that is TEMP, the temperature column. So TEMP strictly less than 40. And as far as the wind speed is concerned, that's it right here. We want the wind speed to be greater than, instead of is above, let's say is at least. Okay, so that we use greater than or equal to. So wind underscore speed greater than or equal to 15, like this. Okay, so I think, okay, anytime it's syncing, I think I can't run my code while it's syncing. Okay, so I just need to execute it several times. All right, so we have 640 rows on the resulting data set. So this entire data set that has 640 rows gives you the information on the weather conditions around Newark or LaGuardia in the months of January, February, and December, when the temperature is less than 40 and the wind speed is greater than or equal to 15. And you can actually check it. So the month here is 1, but if you scroll down, or if you view it, if you store it inside a variable and you view it like we did earlier, you'll see that you have other examples as well. Okay, and if you check the temperature, for the first 10 observations, you see the temperature is less than 40 degrees and the wind speed is greater than 15 miles per hour. Okay, so that's pretty cool. All right, guys, so this is really what you need to know about the filter function. Well, there are a few more things that we'll learn over time, but you know what? Let me just leave you with this. Let's use the not operator one more time. Oh, sorry, I said that I was going to write the code with all different cases, like all different options. So let me do it. All right, so for this I'm going to have month equals 6. Oh no, not for this. We already wrote code for this, right? I was going to write it for this instead. Okay, so we have origin equals EWR or origin equals LaGuardia, LGA. Okay, so I can now remove this. And guys, just copy and paste my code once I'm done if you don't want to rewrite it yourself. And then we have 3 months here. We have month equals 1 or, and I mean, you can use or for one condition and use the in operator for the other condition. It perfectly works, okay? I'm just using or for all the conditions here, because you guys need to see what it looks like. All month equals 2, all month equals 12. And you can see that, guys, it becomes long. What if I wanted 5 months out of the 12? You know, that would actually be a pain, right, to write all this. So when you use the in operator, it's actually more interesting this way. All right, so let me just do this. Okay, as you can see, we have 640, and we have 640 for the new line of code using the OR operator everywhere. Okay. Okay, so OR means OR, and comma means end. Okay, and just so you know, guys, there's actually an operator for end in R and in other programming languages. In filter, when you're using filter, using a comma is what you use to say end, but the actual end is not a comma. So if you find yourself in a different context outside the filter function and you need to specify end, which means intersection, okay, in set theory, the actual end operator is, I'm going to write it as a comment, the end operator is this symbol here. It's actually on my 7 on my QWERTY keyboard. Okay, so if you were to replace all these commas, not this comma right here, this comma is slightly different, you know, but from where the condition starts, if you were to replace all the commas with this symbol here, you would get the same result. Okay, I'm just showing this to you, you know, because you might encounter it somewhere, I don't know. But that's basically it. All right, so I said earlier, and this is where we're going to end for today. I said earlier that I was going to show you some other ways or some other applications of the not operator. But I see that Kinley asked a question, and because I was looking at the live code, I couldn't see Kinley's question. I'm sorry, you asked your question actually a few minutes ago. Okay, but should we not specify year as well? Romina, yes, you could specify the year, but we know already that this entire data set is for the year 2013. So you may want to specify that the year is 2013, but it doesn't change anything really, because all the observations are in 2013 already. I hope that makes sense. Oh, okay. You answered the question and I didn't see your answer. Okay, perfect, Romina. Kinley, how can we get the mean temperature for the month of March from this data set? Or the month of January? Okay, Kinley, this is a question that I'm going to address. We're going to talk about it when we look at the summarize function. So this is one of the functions that I am going to teach you in this course. Okay, all right. An application of the not operator. Not, just like you use not in English, okay, you can use it like that in programming as well. So what I mean by that is what? Let's say that what you are interested in, okay, let's go with the airports data set for this one now. We have a column for altitude, so how far from the sea level, you know, these airports are. Let's assume that you want to look at all airports that are not all airports with an altitude not greater than 100. Okay, basically what you're saying is less than 100, but you know, in some cases you want to be able to express these thoughts. I want the altitudes that are not greater than 100, instead of saying that you want the altitude that is less than 100. There are many cases like that, okay, and you will have to use the not operator like for this. Filter airports, okay, and the altitude column is ALT. Okay, now you want to say greater than first, so greater than 100 like this. Okay, but not greater than means that you will have to add your your exclamation mark before the expression, like this, not greater than. Okay. I know that some of you are already thinking, this is weird. Why didn't we put the not right before the greater than symbol? Well, it only works for equal, like we did here, not equal to or different from if you want. That's the only case in which you can put the exclamation mark right here. Okay, but in all other cases, when you're using less than, greater than, greater than or equal to, less than or equal to, you have to put it before the condition like this. Actually, you can also say, I want the origin that is not in Newark or LaGuardia. Even in a case like that, you will have to put your exclamation mark before the condition is written. The only time that the exclamation mark is put before the equal sign is put before a symbol is with the equal sign and nothing else. Okay, so I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do the not in LaGuardia and stuff like that so that you'll see. All right, so let me run this first. Okay, and if you check all the altitudes, they are very low, 11, 10, 18, and so on and so forth. Okay, so that kind of makes sense. Okay. Let's say once again, okay, let's go back to flights again. So all flights that did not depart from either JFK or Newark. Essentially, what you want is all the flights from LaGuardia, right? But you're just saying it in a different way. And this is what you might want to do, as I said. All flights that did not depart from either JFK or EWR. Okay, so let's do it. So filter, and of course, since we're talking about flights here, we'll have to focus on the flights data set. So filter flights. Okay, now let's first write that we want the origin to be JFK or LaGuardia. Okay, or EWR, sorry, which is Newark. But basically, we do not want this. Okay, so you add the not operator before that. So let me run. And when you run, you see that for origin, we have LaGuardia everywhere. And again, if you try to view this, okay, actually, let me do it. Let me view it like this. Guys, you can look at my console if you were still looking at my code, or you can just look at the live code that I shared with you. But I want to scroll down a little bit so that you see that everything is indeed LaGuardia. See the origin here, everything is LaGuardia. Okay, as we expect. All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is what I had for you today. I really wanted to expand on the filter function so that we could, really learn some interesting things about it, especially the fact that you can add as many conditions as you need. But then we also looked at some, more advanced things like the not operator, the or operator, and the in operator. And well, depending on the filtering process that you're looking for, you could do that. So, for example, if you are a professor and you want to give the opportunity to the students who perform poorly in your class to make up some points, maybe the students that got an F or D, you want them to take some sort of makeup exam. You can actually do it, using the in operator, right? And the in operator would be, a grade, okay, in C or D, using the C function. The lowercase c function that you see there. Now, the not operator is very useful. So let's assume that I want all my students that do not have an A, because if you have an A, like what I used to do in the past was, if by the end of the quarter, because my finals used to be cumulative, right? If by the end of the quarter or the semester, if a student had an A already, having taken all the exams and all the homework and quizzes and whatnot, then the cumulative final exam was not was optional, and of course no one would want to take a final exam if they had the option not to take it, with an A already. So these guys wouldn't really need to show up, during a final exam. So because a few people had an A, and I wanted to know how many copies of the final exam I needed to print. So what I did is I would go to my class data and write a condition like that. Okay, all students who do not have an A. All right, it's easier than writing a condition grade in B, C, D, and F. Okay, it will be much more difficult to do that, right? So it's much simpler to just write not with an A. Okay, and if you don't have an A, then everybody else is going to show up. So there are cases in which the not operator is actually very useful. Okay, so just a few words about the homework. Once again, I am going to assign one homework every week. Okay, so there's no homework today, but there will be a homework assigned when we meet next time. And the homework will also include the things that I am going to teach you next time. Okay, so we're going to do one homework per week like that. I could have done one homework per live stream, but again, guys, believe me, the online classes, especially the transition, is really taking a lot of time. So I'm fairly busy, doing all these things. And I'm really trying to squeeze in, a few things so that I can actually help you guys with the data science and all that. So it's going to be one homework per week. And if you haven't looked at the homework that I assigned yet, please go ahead and do it. It's good practice. It's not going to use the advanced things that we did today with the filter function, but it's always good to kind of refresh your memory on the basics and all that. Okay, well, I'm really glad to know that you guys, everything worked perfectly. So Kinley, you said that you wanted to know how to calculate the mean, let's say the mean temperature for the month of January. Okay, so let me, guys, we are done. I mean, if you want to see this answer that I'm giving to Kinley, you can stick around. But the code that I'm going to write right now is not going to remain in the final code. Maybe it will. Hey, this is still coding anyways. All right, so I'm going to add a comment here. Calculate mean, and by mean what we mean is the average. Okay, average temperature in the month of January. But when we get to that, I'm going to give you a lot more information about it. Okay, but basically, the way I'm going to go about it is something that we're going to learn, I think maybe in 2 weeks or something like that. So Kinley, again, it might actually look confusing to you, but don't worry, or everybody, still following at this point, but don't worry about it, we'll understand. But let's start with the weather data set like this. Okay, and maybe the best thing is, instead of copying what I'm writing, trying to type, it will be better for you to copy and paste from the live code. And we're going to use this symbol here called the pipe operator. Okay, this is, again, we're going to use it a lot. So if you're seeing this for the first time, don't worry, guys. You guys are going to use it a lot. We're going to use this operator a lot. It looks kind of like the in operator, but it's a greater than symbol inside, not an in like IN. Okay, now, after doing this, let me take a quick look at what weather looks like again. Okay, now, because we want it for the month of March, we're going to filter first, okay? You said January, sorry, and we're going to focus on January. So month equals 1. So you see, I just run it just to see. So basically, what I just did here is exactly as if you had written filter, parenthesis, weather, comma, month equals 1, equals 1. It's exactly the same thing. And again, guys, you guys are going to use this a lot. And after doing this, because we want the average of one column, okay, pipe operator again, and then we'll use the summarize function. Now, some of you live in English-speaking countries where summarize is with an S here instead of a Z. All these functions are in dplyr. The function with S also works. Okay, both functions do exactly the same thing inside dplyr. So the author of the package made the two functions, just so that if your English is different, as in terms of spelling, you can use it. I live in the United States, and this is how summarize is written here. Okay, so summarize. Now, what do we want? We want the mean temperature. So I'm just going to write a name. Okay, this is just a name, and you can call it whatever you want. You can call it Kinley if you want. It's like a variable if you want. And inside that variable, I want to store the average. So in R, we have a function called mean, and that's what we're going to use. Okay, and you want it for temperature. Okay, so this is basically what we did. We're using the weather data set, then we are filtering to get only the month of March of January, and then we are summarizing. We're calculating a summary statistic. That's one. This is the big category for standard deviations, variances, and means and stuff like that. And this is just a name in which I am going to store the average. That's a function here, the mean of temp, and temp is right here. Okay, so when you run it, that's it. Okay, the mean temperature for the month of January. Ooh, that's cold. By the way, this is in Fahrenheit. Okay, and 35.6 degrees in Fahrenheit would be very cold in Celsius. Let me check. By the way, I'm more used to Celsius myself. Fahrenheit in Celsius. Well, that's like 2 degrees, right? That's 2 degrees, okay, on average in general, which makes sense, right? It's really cold in New York City during the winter. I live in the south, so it gets to the 30s sometimes, but not as consistently as it does, up north. All right, so Kinley, I hope that you were able to learn something. Even if you didn't learn, I just showed you how to do it. But you guys will be able to do it, and these things are going to be in future homework when we get to the summarize function. Okay, and the homework is going to be very interesting when we learn this function there. All right, so I'm going to add this question from Kinley in the chat. All right, so that's basically it. All right, so you're very welcome, Kinley. And well, I haven't seen any other questions since the question from Kinley. So guys, thank you very much for joining the stream today. God bless, and I will see you around. Let's meet on Saturday at 2 p.m. Central Standard Time. And let's keep the conversation going in the chat. I wanted to say on the Slack channel. And yeah, guys, you can always reach out to me there and stuff like that. And please do the homework. It's very good practice. Go through the code again. It's going to help you, see the code one more time. Try to rewrite it or something like that. It's really going to be helpful. Okay, guys, you take it easy.